We are often told that we should be kind and put others' needs ahead of our own. But does anyone ever warn us that being too kind and caring can be risky? In a world where we don't always get what we give, there are generous people who find themselves drained, both emotionally and financially, because of their giving nature. Could being too kind even endanger your life? Be surprised by the bad things that can happen when you're too nice. Today, I'll talk about 8 negative outcomes of being overly kind and 4 tough strategies to prevent people from taking advantage of you. Let's start with the first one without further delay. Number 1, you'll have unrealistic expectations of people. The Stoics often said that we must accept things as they are, without expecting others to make us happy. When you are overly kind and generous, you begin to develop expectations, consciously or unconsciously, that others will treat you the same way. But this isn't realistic. Most of the time, people aren't as giving as you are, and by expecting them to be, you set yourself up for disappointment. When you give too much of yourself, whether it's your time, effort, or resources, it's almost impossible not to expect something in return. You may tell yourself that you're doing it out of kindness, but deep down, we all hope for some form of reciprocation. But life doesn't work that way. Instead, people become accustomed to you doing everything, and soon they expect it. You end up taking care of not only your responsibilities, but theirs too. This is why, in reality, your expectations for reciprocity will rarely be met. When people become dependent on your generosity, they don't feel the need to give back. Instead, you're left feeling exhausted, underappreciated, and emotionally drained. It's not that people are intentionally letting you down. They are simply focusing on their own needs, just as you should be. Number 2, people will always expect something from you. The Stoics teach that real value comes from acting in a way that is grounded in virtue and logic, not from constantly doing what others want or expect from us. When you give too much, you create a cycle where people start to expect things from you all the time. Being overly generous creates a pattern, and this pattern leads others to develop unrealistic expectations of you. We all know that people are creatures of habit. Once they see you as someone who is always giving, they begin to expect it, and soon enough, you find yourself in a situation where you're constantly giving, but no one is giving back. You're essentially training people to rely on you for their needs, creating a comfort zone for them, and leaving no room for your own well-being. The truth is, if you don't prioritize yourself and set boundaries, don't expect others to step in and remind you to do so. Most people will continue to take from you for as long as you allow it. If you're constantly giving, people will rarely take the time to think about your needs, because you're always putting theirs first. This is why it's so important to balance generosity with self-care. Number 3, your own goals won't be considered. The Stoics taught us that living by reason and virtue means setting boundaries and making your own responsibilities a priority. When you always put other people's needs first, you start to lose sight of your own goals and aspirations. Sometimes, we keep ourselves busy with other people's problems as a way to avoid dealing with our own. We think that by helping others, we can escape our own struggles, but the truth is, the more we avoid addressing our own issues, the worse they become. Sooner or later, you'll have to face the reality that you've neglected your own goals, and this will lead to feelings of frustration, sadness, and even anger. Not only will you lose track of your own path, but you'll also start to resent the people you're helping, even if they didn't ask for it. You'll feel like you've sacrificed your own happiness for the sake of others, and this resentment can poison your relationships. Self-care is essential if you want to lead a fulfilling life. It's important to remember that you can't pour from an empty cup. Before you help others, you must first take care of yourself. Number 4, people will see you as weak. Stoicism teaches us the importance of inner strength and self-discipline. By setting boundaries and focusing on our own responsibilities, we show others that we are capable and strong. But if you're always giving in to others, always available to help, people may start to view you as weak. When you don't set limits, others will begin to take advantage of your kindness. They will see you as someone they can rely on to take care of their responsibilities, knowing that you won't say no. The more you do for others, the less they will respect you. They will begin to see you as someone who can be easily manipulated, and this will diminish their view of you as a strong, independent person. But here's the good news. Once you start setting boundaries and saying no, things will begin to change. People will start to respect you. They'll see that you're no longer willing to be taken advantage of, and this newfound respect will shift the way they interact with you. Setting limits doesn't make you selfish, it makes you strong. Number 5, you'll attract people who only want something from you. Stoicism teaches us to be discerning in our relationships. When you give too much, you become a magnet for people who are only interested in what you can offer. These people aren't looking for genuine connections. They are simply looking for what they can take from you. You might start to notice that people only reach out to you when they need something. They don't call to check on you or see how you're doing. They call because they want something. This isn't a true friendship or relationship. It's a transactional one, and the more you give, the more they'll take, without offering anything in return. It's easy to fall into this trap because it feels good to help others, but in reality, you're enabling people to use you. To protect yourself from this, it's important to recognize when someone is only taking from you and not giving anything back. This awareness will help you set boundaries and protect your emotional well-being. Number 6, you'll only attract people who want to take, not give. Energy flows where attention goes. When you are constantly giving, you attract people who are only interested in taking. These are the people who drain your energy, who take what they need and give nothing back in return. On the flip side, when you maintain balance and protect your energy, you attract people who bring joy, positivity, and kindness into your life. But if you're always giving, you'll find yourself surrounded by energy vampires, people who suck the life out of you, leaving you emotionally drained and unappreciated. To protect yourself, it's important to set boundaries and be selective about who you allow into your life. Not everyone deserves your kindness, and it's okay to be discerning about who you give your time and energy to. Number 7, you could develop harmful habits. The Stoics emphasized balance and self-control in all aspects of life. When you give too much, you can become overwhelmed by stress, which can lead to harmful habits. Stress can push people toward unhealthy coping mechanisms, such as overeating, drinking, or gambling. These behaviors may seem like an easy way to manage stress, but they can quickly spiral out of control. When you're giving too much and not taking care of yourself, it's easy to develop unhealthy habits to cope with the emotional toll. That's why it's so important to recognize when you're overextending yourself and to take action before things get out of hand. Pay attention to your emotional and physical health. Listen to the people around you, especially those who care about you. They may notice patterns of behavior that you don't. Taking their advice seriously can help you avoid falling into harmful habits. Number 8, people will become suspicious of your kindness. Unfortunately, not everyone appreciates kindness. When you're overly generous, some people may start to question your motives. They might wonder why you're being so kind and whether you have an ulterior motive. In a world where many people are self-centered, excessive kindness can be seen as suspicious. People might think that you're only being nice because you want something from them. While this perception isn't necessarily fair, it's something to be aware of. Sometimes, it's better to set boundaries and practice moderation in your generosity to avoid being misunderstood. Now that we've covered the negative effects of being too kind, let's explore 4 strategies that will help you protect yourself from being taken advantage of. Strategy 1. Pay attention to your emotions. One of the most important aspects of Stoicism is self-awareness. To protect yourself from being taken advantage of, you need to pay close attention to how you feel after helping others. If you feel drained or overwhelmed, it's a sign that you need to focus more on yourself. It's easy to ignore our emotions when we're busy helping others, but doing so can lead to burnout. Make sure to check in with yourself regularly. Ask yourself how you're feeling, and don't be afraid to prioritize your own needs. Strategy 2. Don't be afraid to say no. Saying no is one of the most powerful tools you have for protecting your time and energy. The Stoics believed in the importance of setting boundaries, and learning to say no is an essential part of that. Practice saying no to requests that overwhelm you or don't align with your goals. It's okay to put yourself first and prioritize your well-being. Strategy 3. Schedule time for yourself. Make time for self-care just as you would make time for helping others. Stoicism teaches us the importance of balance, and part of that balance is taking care of yourself. Whether it's reading a book, exercising, or simply enjoying some quiet time, make sure you're carving out space in your day to focus focus on your own needs. When you take care of yourself, you'll be better equipped to help others in a meaningful way. Remember, you can't pour from an empty cup. In Strategy 4, distance yourself from energy vampires. It's important to recognize when someone is draining your energy without giving anything back. The Stoics taught us to be wise in our relationships, and part of that wisdom is knowing when to distance ourselves from toxic individuals. If someone is constantly taking from you and never giving, it's time to set boundaries and protect your emotional health. You deserve relationships that are built on mutual respect and reciprocity. Stoicism teaches us that balance is key. If you give too little, you may be seen as selfish, but if you give too much, you'll end up emotionally, physically, and financially drained. The secret lies in finding the middle ground. When you feel unsure about what to do, remember the magic word, no. Saying no allows you to set boundaries, protect your well-being, and prevent others from taking advantage of your kindness. I hope you found these insights helpful. If you enjoyed this video or learned something new, please give it a thumbs up and share it with others, and subscribe to the channel for daily Stoic wisdom.